Hey guys, what's up? I am back, and in this video, it's gonna be a little bit different. I usually only do mock drafts weekly, but NFL Combine just happened this past week and weekend, so I'm gonna take a little bit of time and I'm gonna talk about some of the prospects that really helped their draft stock, and then there are some others that did not. Um, and I'm going to be mainly focusing at prospects that the Seahawks could target, um, because that's what this channel is about. Um, but I will talk about every position. Like I have seen some things about Zach Charbonnet potentially being traded to the Raiders for Michael Mayer. Maybe I'm gonna test that in my mock draft later. Um, Maybe not. But we'll start off with some of the quarterbacks, which this is pretty easy to talk about because not many of them tested at all. There were, I think, three quarterbacks that actually ran the 40. Um, and it was, yeah, Brady Cook, Tyler Shook, and Seth Hennigan. Um, and they're all late day three guys, I believe. I have seen Tyler Shook in like the third or fourth for some people. I think that's a little crazy. Um, but Jackson Dart, in the throwing drills, he looked decent. Um, I'm still not impressed with Jackson Dart, but he did look better than I was thinking he would. Quinn Ewers did not. Quinn Ewers looked awful. He has a noodle arm. I think his draft stock plummeted. Dylan Gabriel was probably the best QB at the combine, or in terms of the throwing um, on field stuff. He has a cannon. He was able to throw it further than anybody. His arm, he doesn't necessarily have a cannon arm, but it's a lot stronger than I thought it was. Problem is he's like Kyler Murray sized, so that doesn't really work in our offense. Jalen Milroe, I was really surprised. Why didn't Jalen Milroe run the 40? Like, he would have killed it. He would have absolutely killed it. He's not running the 40. Why did he do that? He would have probably bumped up his draft stock, like at least a round because of his 40 time, but didn't do it. Neither did Riley Leonard, which I thought was a bit odd. They're both pretty fast. So that was odd to me that they didn't run it. But, there's not much to talk about here with the QBs. No one really shined. There was one person that really hurt their draft stock, and that was Will Howard. He looked like the worst quarterback at the combine, which was really unfortunate because I've been a big Will Howard guy, taking him late third or in the fourth, but he looked bad. He was getting outperformed by every QB there, and we're talking about like UDFA talent QBs. He looked bad. He was missing every throw, whether it was short or deep downfield. He was not good, not at all. He was missing all of his throws, and that really sucked. I'm gonna have to see his pro day because maybe he could do better. Maybe it was the nerves. Yeah, I don't know, but he just did not look good at all. We'll go on to running back. Spend a little time here, but not a ton. So we will look at like the 40s for running backs. Is always fun. Byshul Tootin, there was a mock draft. Was it CBS? It was someone that mocked Tootin in the first round, I think, to the Chargers, which was crazy. Like, he's a really good back, but he hasn't played a meaningful game since September 2023. So I don't know how you can look at him and like see him as not a day three guy. I think he should go fourth. Maybe he sneaks into the third. I don't necessarily see that myself. Trevor Etienne just kind of didn't look great at the on-field drills. He didn't help his stock at all. He looked kind of slow on the on-field stuff, but really looking at the running backs as a whole, nobody seriously damaged their draft stock. I think everyone looked pretty good. Overall, I mean, Quinshon Judkins just absolutely killed it, and that's awesome because he needed to. He absolutely needed to, because he was kind of the running back too. Everyone at where was he before Ohio State? Ole Miss, I think. He was just kind of a bell cow, and then he gets to Ohio State, just different system, and Trevion Henderson was kind of the running back one. So he needed a good combine, and he had a really good combine. I think these Ohio State running backs probably both go in the second. They're really, really good. But again, Seahawks aren't necessarily in the market for a running back. What we are in the market for is a potential wide receiver to replace Lockett, assuming he's cut. Even if he's not, even if we cut him and bring him back on a 1-year deal or something, I still would like to get a younger guy. And I mean, Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond said he was going to run a 4.1, ended up running a 4.39, and Matthew Golden ran, or maybe it was a 4.38, and Matthew Golden ran like a tenth of a second faster than that. Like, come on, dude. What Isaiah Bond was just, what was he doing? Why are you going to come out and say that you can run a 4.1 and then you run a 4.39? Come on, dude. You cannot have that level of confidence when you're getting outpaced by your teammate. Dante Thornton Jr., I've loved this guy. He had really good measurables too. Dante Thornton, 6'4", 6'5", 205. Here we go.
You can tell.
They do that anytime you click on a prospect profile. They play the video immediately. But he was incredible. A 4.3 flat at 6'5", 205 is unbelievable. He was incredible. Really, really good. And if we can get him in the 6th or 7th, dude, I would love him. Like, get rid of Derek Young and just have Dante Thornton. I mean, he's good. He's good. Chimere DK, that is how you pronounce it. I know it looks different. Chimere DK had a really, really nice day. Jalen Lane did as well. But you look at his measurable. Hold up, it's gonna pop up here. The volume. Oh, I already muted it, so we're good. The measurables were, I mean, I don't think this is someone the Seahawks could take because he's the slot guy. But he did look really good, especially with that 40-inch vert. And the broad jump was really good. Ty Felton, 4.37 for Ty Felton was really, really impressive. And I think he is someone at his size. He could be kind of a great Lockett replacement. He wouldn't do exactly what Lockett does, but I think he's kind of exactly what we would need in that wide receiver 3 role. And he had a good combine. I really liked him. Isaiah Bond, see, the thing with him, 4.39 is a really, really good time. But you can't come out and say you're going to run a 4.1 and then do that. Some guys that dropped their stock, I mean, where is Tez Johnson? There he is. What happened, dude? You are weighing in at 154 pounds and you're going to run a 4.51. He genuinely might go undrafted. I think he probably goes in the 5th or maybe the 6th, but Oh my goodness, Tez Johnson. He was. I mean, on some of the on-field drills, he looked pretty good and showed his agility here. But but man, a 4.51 is really bad. I don't even know if I get to show this without getting flagged. But that was really really disappointing. Being one of the slowest wide receivers. Yikes. And Ricky White too. Ricky White has been a guy I've talked about him like nonstop. I love Ricky White, but you look at him on the field in college, he does not look that slow. A 4.61 for Ricky White. Ooh, yikes. It's not. That was so. Tez Johnson and Ricky White are like my biggest. Like, ooh, gotta watch out for that. Like that was really unfortunate. I thought Ricky White would do a lot better than that. Unfortunately, just did not happen. And a lot of receivers that ran really good times. I mean, it's hard to talk about all of them, but a lot of receivers ran really good times. We did meet with some. I know we met with Jalen Noel, which is interesting to me that we'd meet with him because he's kind of purely a slot guy. I'd rather meet with Jaden Higgins, his teammate. So I don't love that. Meeting with him over Jaden Higgins. All right, onto the tight ends here. No one really stood out. There go my dogs. No one really stood out. I mean, Terrence Ferguson was probably the most athletic guy there when you're looking at that and the on the field drills. But CJ Dippre, let's take a second to talk about him and his bench press. Oh my lord, 32 reps. I think that's top 5 all time by a tight end at the combine, which is just incredible. He's got some serious strength. So I want to shout that out. If we can get CJ Dippre in the 7th or maybe the 6th, I mean, I would be really happy. I think he's a good blocker. And this was a really, really good one there. But some tight ends felt like Harold Fannin. I thought he would run a bit faster than a 4.71. I know it's not too bad, but for this size, 6'3", 240, you gotta run faster than a 4.71, man. He's not really a blocker. He's kind of he's a receiver and he's a tweener. You know, you gotta run a little bit fast than that. I was a bit disappointed. Jake Brenningstool just kind of shat the bed at the combine in terms of his drills. And Gunnar Helm actually was the worst faller. Like, he was really bad. If you are going to Gunnar Helm, if you're going to be like a tight end that cannot block at all, and you're only a receiver, you cannot run a 4.84. You cannot run a 4.84 with a 1.69 10-yard split. Yikes. That is bad. That is bad. I think he might fall to the 4th now. Like, that was really bad from Gunnar Helm. He's like, I mean, this is Will Dissly's time, I think. Like, Will Dissly ran this, I think. You can't be running a Will Dissly time with no blocking ability at all. You just cannot. And so Gunnar Helm, I think he's undraftable by the Seahawks at this point. Jalen Conyers, I was really impressed with some of his drills. I think Jalen Conyers did a fine job, and he's someone I've talked about a lot. I'm really impressed with his tape, and I think he's one of the best blockers in the class. So Jalen Conyers, really, really happy with what he did. Going over to O-line, Jared Wilson killed it. Jared Wilson and Armand Membu, I mean, just absolutely destroyed it. My dogs are annoying me right now, but it wouldn't be one of my videos without my dogs barking. It's really frustrating. But Armand Membu is an absolute beast. I mean, let's talk about Armand Membu. I don't think he's going to be there at 18 at this point. Like, he is probably my favorite offensive lineman in this class. I mean, he, like, genuinely, if Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter aren't on the board when the Patriots pick, they might take him at 4. He is good. He's really good. 31 bench press reps is really, really good. A 4.91 is incredible. His on-field drills, he looked really, really good. He tore it up. And Jared Wilson boosted his stock tremendously. I think he's a guaranteed top 100 pick now. I mean, 4.84 is really good. It's no Lane Johnson, but nobody's doing that. Or Teron Armstead. I think he still holds the record, right? At like a 4.71. But yeah, Jared Wilson was really good, and I personally don't think we need a center. I think Olu and Christian Haynes are fine. We just need to focus on left guard. But if Jared Wilson falls and he's there in the third, maybe he's BPA. It could happen. Tate Ratledge did really well. Anyone that's sub 5, really fun. This originally, like, a lot of the offensive linemen looked slow, but then we got some guys coming in that were really, really speedy. Joshua Gray, especially. I love Joshua Gray. Looking at his tape, I think he's a really underrated interior offensive lineman. Just the finesse he plays with, and I think he could come in and be a left guard or a center in this league. I think center is a position that he could flourish at. And Jonah Savaiania too. He boosted his stock probably into the second round. He was falling on a lot of boards to maybe the third, but I don't think so anymore. I think he absolutely killed it. And then, I mean, what happened? Tyler Booker. Did he have concrete in his shoes? I mean, Tyler Booker was being talked about as a top 15 prospect in this class. The best guard, like consensus best guard. But what happened? What happened with Tyler Booker? That looked bad. Like, that looked unplayable bad. Like, that speed, a 5.38 from Tyler Booker. The issue, like, he doesn't necessarily... I think Tyler Booker is scheme dependent. He needs to be in, like, a power run scheme. And a 5.38 with nearly a 2-second 10-yard split it's really bad. I thought he was going to do a lot better than that. And, I mean... none of these are really all that impressive. He was just kind of yikes. And he already had a down year too at Bama, so he probably is going to fall to the second now with that performance. I don't know how you could look at that and take him in the first anymore. I think Donovan Jackson is gonna pass him, which Donovan Jackson didn't perform in some of the drills. All right, moving on. Defensive end / edge. James Pierce, I said it. I have receipts from months ago. I said James Pierce Jr. and Shamar Stewart are going to tear it up at the combine, and they're going to have a Trayvon Walker type rise. James Pierce Jr., a 4.47 is incredible. Of course, he is undersized. Looking at his size, he is 6'5", 245 for an edge, bit of a tweener. But he really did do good. He has the off the field issues, which seems to be traffic stop, stuff like that. So I don't know where his draft stock is going to be. He might go top 10. He might fall to the back end of the first. I don't know. Shamar Stewart at this point, I think probably is getting the Trayvon Walker rise. He doesn't have any off the field things to worry about. And I mean, his measurables: arms over 34 inches, 6'5", 267, a 4.59. at 6'5", 267. Wow, and a 40-inch vert. I mean, unbelievable. Shamar Stewart was unbelievable. Peter Schrager, unbelievable. People rag on Shamar Stewart because he had 4.5 sacks. Like, dude, that's not his game. Like, some people only look at the production. That's not his game. Call him a combine god. That's not him. Okay? Look at his pressures. Okay? He gets consistent pressure. He's not the guy that's going to get 15 sacks. That's not him. He needs to work on finishing the play. Yes, but look at his pass rush win rate. Look at how successful he is. Look at his bag of pass rush moves. He is an unbelievable prospect, and he is a top 10 prospect on my board. Shamar Stewart is my edge 2 in this class. He is amazing. I really, really love him. And if the Seahawks can get him at 18, he's one of my favorite picks. He's my top edge for the Seahawks. I absolutely love this guy. And this combine proved it. He's really, really good, Shamar Stewart. Because, I mean, a lot of the issues were, people are saying he doesn't have the production. Look at what he did at the Senior Bowl. He went to the Senior Bowl and dominated. He dominated everybody in the Senior Bowl. And then he comes to the Combine and has one of the best performances of somebody his size that we've seen in a few years. He is an unbelievable prospect, and he's my top edge for the Hawks. I really love this guy. Defensive tackle. Not much that stood out to me in terms of for the Seahawks. Ty Robinson had a really good combine. CJ West did as well. I do like CJ West. It's just I don't know necessarily how he fits on our defense. He's still a bit undersized for me for a nose tackle. I mean, definitely not more undersized than Byron Murphy, but he is a bit undersized for me to be a nose tackle. Derek Harmon killed it. We're not going to take Derek Harmon, but he absolutely killed it. And then going down, Jamari Caldwell, I was disappointed with Jamari Caldwell. On field, he looks a lot faster than a 5.16. I thought he was going to be a little bit faster, but he's a big guy. He's a big guy. You're not going to expect him to go crazy. So that's fine for what it is. For what he brings in terms of the run stopper, and he does have a pretty decent pass rush. So not much to say for me anyway in terms of the defensive tackles, because we're going mainly for nose tackle. Linebackers, dude. Let's talk about Jihad Campbell. Let's talk about Jihad Campbell. This dude, oh my goodness. A 4.52 at 6'3", 235. 6'3", 235. And he is running a 4.52. That is unbelievable. He didn't even have to do anything else. 4.52 at 6'3", 235 is unbelievable. If he's there at 18, it's going to be really, really hard to pass on him. Even if we do re-sign Ernest Jones, I don't know if he falls to 18 now. He could go to 12. He could go at 8. He could go at 15 or 16. He's really, really good. And he's really good in coverage too. I really like Jihad Campbell. Eugene Asante had a really good combine. Eugene Asante, Nick Martin, and Teddy Buchanan all had a really good combine. I was impressed with them. Jay Higgins was really disappointing. I was starting to see him as a late day 2 guy, but this combine was really disappointing. A 4.82 for someone that's 6'2", 224. It's not great. And yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about Jay Higgins. He started off as kind of like a mid to late day 3 guy. I started bumping him up on my board, and this time isn't going to do it. I was pretty disappointed to see that. Cornerbacks, Maxwell Harrison. I was disappointed because I said Darian Porter was going to have the best time by a corner, and he didn't. He didn't by 0.02 seconds. But Maxwell Harrison, really good. A lot of the cornerbacks, like you look, this cornerback class is weird because there's like the top guys, and then there's a whole group of guys that's like, well, they were dealing with injuries. So where do you put them? Hairston is one of those guys. But he looked really good. Darian Porter looked really good. He's like maybe my ideal guy for the Seahawks if we were to take someone in the second round. Aside from if Azariah Thomas is there, or not Azariah, Azaria Thomas is there, like in the second, there's no way I am passing on him personally. But Darian Porter is also a really good option. Zoff Frazier fucking tore it up, dude. He tore it up. This is a guy I see Pete Carroll drafting like 10 out of 10 times. This is a Pete Carroll guy. 6'3", 33-inch arms, and he's really, really fast. This is a guy that Pete Carroll is going to take. Like, I'm 90% guaranteed this guy is going to the Raiders for sure. Robert Longerbean looked really good on the on-field drills. I was surprised. I was really impressed with what he did. A lot of cornerbacks looked really good. There were some that didn't, and the main one I will talk about is Jabbar Muhammad. Jabbar Muhammad on the on-field drills. What the hell was that? He looked like he doesn't even know how to back up. He looked really awkward. Yikes. I had him as a 3rd, 4th round guy, but Jabbar Muhammad, he might be in that 6th, 7th round range where PFF has him. He did not look good on the on-field drills. Kobe Bryant, I was a bit disappointed with his 40. That was a bit disappointed for me. Zy Alexander, I've never loved him as a corner. I really like him as a safety. And this speed for a safety is pretty good. Pretty good. So I like Zy Alexander, but if you're going to move him to safety, I don't think his skill set will be good at cornerback. I think he could be kind of like a Kobe Bryant type. And then safety, Nick Emanwari was just unbelievable. Like, Nick Emanwari was the combine king. He was incredible. I mean, a 43 foot, jeez. He did not jump 43 feet in the air. A 43-inch vert, 11.5 foot broad, a 4.38. 4.38 for a guy that's 6'3", 220. Like, he's a linebacker. He's linebacker size. An undersized linebacker, sure. But, yeah, he is, he's really good. Nick Emanwari. He is really, really good. And if we're sitting there at 18, it's going to be like, he's a guy, I've been talking about him in the first for a while. Not a lot of people have. I take pride in that. He's been my number one safety. For months, he's been my number one safety. But he was really, really good. And he's a guy I would love. Like, he is actually Kyle Hamilton for Mike. Like, he is Kyle Hamilton for Mike. He's so good. And he could play linebacker. He could play in the box a ton. I mean, he's really good. Um, he's not quite Cam Chancellor size, but he's almost there, man. He is almost there. Nick Emanwari, really good. Marcus Siegel, really fast. Shout out to him. I haven't watched any of his tape, but this combine definitely he definitely got on my radar after this one. So I'm gonna have to check him out. Jonas Sanker I thought did really well with the on-field drills. Malachi Starks, I was expecting more, but still a 4.5 flat is pretty good for a safety. A lot of people are ragging on him, but 4.5 flat is still pretty good for a safety. I'm fine with that. Sebastian Castro, though, I was disappointed with him. I thought that was 4.59 was a bit disappointing for his size, 5'11", 203. And his measurables weren't great, and just wasn't impressed with really anything he did on the field. And Hunter Wohler, I like Hunter Wohler a lot. I talk about him a ton. His measurables were great, 6'2", 215 about. And for that size, a 4.57 with a 1.54 10-yard split, I'm happy with. It's just you look at Nick Emanwari's numbers compared with his size, and you're like, wait, this isn't. No, that's still good. It's just Nick Emanwari is a freak. He is a superhuman athlete. So that's going to do it. That's what I thought of the combine. Mock draft going up a little bit later. Hope you all enjoyed. See y'all in that mock draft. Later.